Mexican cartel leader Joaquin Archibaldo Guzman Loera, most famously known as El Chapo, has successfully escaped prison not once, but twice. In 2019, El Chapo was sentenced to life in prison for his crimes, including money laundering, murder, and drug distribution. To ensure that the notorious criminal won't escape prison again, El Chapo was sent to ADX Florence, a supermax prison located in Florence, Colorado. Welcome to another episode of Crime Analyst. Today, we'll show you the prison where El Chapo was kept. Don't forget to click on the thumbs up and subscribe buttons. Thank you. A supermax prison has the highest level of security in the system and holds the most dangerous criminals, much like Alcatraz. In fact, ADX is also called the Alcatraz of the Rockies, and it is located in the desert about 2 hours from Denver. No prisoner has ever escaped the facility since its establishment in 1994, per Corrections 1. Many have described the situation in ADX as torture, and a former warden there, Robert Hood, said that the facility was not built for humanity, per the Denver Post. "I think that being there, day by day, it's worse than death," he said. Other notorious criminals imprisoned at ADX include Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, former FBI agent turned Soviet spy Robert Hansen, and Philadelphia Mafia boss Nicodemo Scarfo. El Chapo has a life sentence plus 30 years at ADX Florence. There, he spends 23 hours a day locked up in his 7 by 12 foot concrete cell that is soundproof to avoid inmates from communicating with each other. The cell is equipped with basic necessities such as a bed, desk, and chair, which are made of concrete and attached to the walls, preventing prisoners from moving them. According to the Daily Record, El Chapo's cell is also equipped with a toilet and shower area, but the water is time-controlled to avoid flooding. Furthermore, electricity in the cells is controlled by guards, so by a certain time, inmates no longer have access to light. To add to his isolation, El Chapo's prison cell has 2 doors, one solid outer door and an interior jail door. Although the cell has a tiny window measuring 42 inches tall and 4 inches wide, there is no view of the surrounding Rocky Mountains. This restricted visibility prevents inmates from knowing their exact location within ADX, as reported by the Denver Post. El Chapo is allowed 1 hour of recreation time in a concrete pit that looks just like an empty pool. The notorious drug lord is escorted there by 3 guards, where he is allowed to walk around the pit to exercise. However, it only allows for 10 steps in a straight line or 31 in a circle. Again, the pit is designed so that inmates don't have a view of their whereabouts in the prison. The Daily Mirror reports that El Chapo will now be locked up with bombers, hate preachers, and domestic terrorists at the 490-bed slammer known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, which opened in 1994. One 36-year-old former prisoner, who spent 6 years in the jail between 2008 and 2014 for his involvement in prison riots at 2 federal lockups, said the stark conditions border on inhumane. Just 1 year after spending time at ADX Florence, El Chapo is hopeful that an appeal is his ticket out of the supermax prison. In 2020, his attorneys began working to have his conviction overturned. Per Anadolu Agency, the next step for El Chapo's team is to appeal to Mexican authorities to help ensure his return to Mexico, where he can be tried in his homeland. Per his lawyers, his extradition to the United States following his most recent capture was unlawful. "We went for legal requests to protect Joaquin Guzman, and all legal procedures were denied," said Jose Refugio, one of his lawyers. While his workers are working on his appeal, El Chapo allegedly remains optimistic about his chances. "My personal impression is that everyone that is facing a life sentence like that is going to hold on to every piece of hope," said attorney Mariel Colon, per CBS Denver. It is a huge compound with hundreds of employees. To get to Guzman's cell, you have to pass through more than 20 locked doors, and at each door there are several guards. It is a 60-square-foot cell. You have to go through 2 more doors and gates to get to it. There's one video camera that monitors the cell in the corner in the back, and then at the other end of the cell, there is a short concrete wall out of view of the camera. The wall is to provide privacy for the prisoner. But, as we all know, it actually provides an advantage, a blind spot, where Guzman was able to go through the floor and out to freedom. There's a gaping hole about 20 inches by 20 inches, cut right out of the shower floor. It's just incredible. The hole in the shower floor, the concrete slab that was cut out, was not really that thick at all. It was only about 2 or 3 inches. There was no rebar, and you'd think it would be much thicker. Authorities say the engineers who built the tunnel must have had the prison blueprints and GPS devices to reach that exact point. But what about all that noise from cutting through the rock and the soil right there to the shower? There are so many people working in that prison, and no one heard anything? The number of people who are probably bribed, or in cahoots, or just intimidated is just staggering. Meanwhile, the fallout for Mexico's government is great. The US cooperated to capture Guzman, and that cooperation is highly strained at this time. Mexicans vacillate between disbelief and making jokes about the escape to outright anger over the spectacle, the embarrassment, and showing the world the great weaknesses in their institutions. The convicted drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman said that under no circumstances would he agree to share a prison cell with the former Trump advisor. The ex-kingpin said, although he had not heard of any plans to house Bannon in his prison cell, he was speaking out of an abundance of caution. If the Department of Justice is looking for a place to lock Bannon up, don't even think about putting him in with me, El Chapo, who is being held at ADX Florence, a maximum security penitentiary, said. It's not going to happen. I've tunneled out of prison before, and I can do it again, he warned. El Chapo's sentiments have been echoed by the nation's prison population, 2 million of whom have signed a petition refusing to share their cells with Bannon. Emma Coronel Aispuro, wife of the notorious Mexican drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, was sentenced to 3 years in prison last year on charges of drug trafficking and money laundering. She had faced a minimum of 10 years in prison, and prosecutors had asked for 4 years. Since she had no criminal record and was not considered a leader in the organization, nor was she directly involved in any violent acts, she received a lighter sentence. The judge also ordered her to pay $1.5 million in a restitution deal agreed before the hearing. She will also be given credit for 9 months already spent behind bars since her arrest. The 32-year-old was arrested in February at Dulles International Airport in Virginia and has been behind bars since then. As part of her sentencing, she will also serve 4 years of supervised release after the prison sentence. I express my true regrets for any and all harm that I may have done, she said in Spanish before the sentence was announced. I am suffering as a result of the pain that I caused my family. She asked for a sentence that would allow her to watch her 9-year-old twin daughters grow up. Pronouncing the sentence, Judge Rudolph Contreras wished Coronel good luck. I hope that you raise your twins in a different environment than you've experienced to date, he told her. That's all for today. If you have any thoughts on today's video, you can always leave them in the comments section. Don't forget to leave a like and share it with your friends. You can also subscribe to the channel to get updates on new videos that might interest you. Until next time, have a great day.